The FIA have officially released a statement after investigating Mercedes. So we're going to be going through that in today's video, but don't forget to like this video. And if you do want more Mercedes F1 content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. But let's get straight into it. So Mercedes has been issued a warning from the FIA, but will not face a penalty at the Hungarian Grand Prix, which just happened as of recent. So obviously the statement that was released was just before the Hungarian Grand Prix, but Lewis Hamilton and George Russell Mercedes team broke park firm rules ahead of the Hungarian Grand Prix. The FIA issued a statement ahead of FP1 warning members of the team were inside the circuit when they were not allowed. Mercedes have now used up to 3 of their 8 park firm exemptions for the season, meaning the Silver Arrows did not face any penalty for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now the FIA statement reads, Wednesday night team personnel of the Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula 1 team who are associated with the operation of the car were within the confines of the circuit during the 13-hour period, which commenced at 20 on 27th of August, 42 hours before the scheduled start time of P1, and ends 29 hours before the scheduled start time of P1 at 9 on 28th of July. This was the third of the 8 individual exemptions permitted for the Formula 1 Mercedes-AMG Petronas team during the 2022 Formula 1 Championship season, and therefore no action should be taken. Mercedes last broke the curfew rules ahead of the British Grand Prix when they introduced a range of updates to their car. The rules are in place to limit the amount of time engineers can work on the car over each race weekend. The team admitted that they were further away from the pace than they expected at last week's French Grand Prix, as they were almost a second way over 1 lap on Saturday, but it seems to have paid off that they didn't actually receive any penalty because they performed very well in the Hungarian Grand Prix, with Mercedes finishing both in podium, 2nd and 3rd place. Valls explained, but we are not where we need to be yet to be winning. That's the short answer to it, especially for example on qualifying pace, and Hungary will expose that weakness somewhat. We are realistic, we have made steps forward, and I can see the progress, and we can see progress for how we are going to move forward again across the next few races. So obviously all of this was said just before the Hungarian Grand Prix, and they performed very well. Now although George Russell did start off in pole position and ended up dropping to 3rd, I still think it's great to see him on podium, and Lewis Hamilton worked his all way up to the 2nd place, with Verstappen still finishing 1st. So I think Mercedes as a whole, even as individual performances for George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, did very good, and in all honesty it's starting to look like they're starting to gather their stride. Lewis Hamilton secures his 6th podium of the season after a comeback drive at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton has claimed Mercedes are closing the gap to the front runners in a massive warning to Ferrari and Red Bull. The 7th-time champion predicted Mercedes could even start fighting with the guys in front after the summer break. So I absolutely love what he is doing, and I love the confidence he is showing. You know, Red Bull is still a fair way away, and if Verstappen keeps doing what he continues to do, then it does seem like Red Bull will take the constructors. However, I do see Mercedes going after Ferrari, and I think it can happen. He admitted Ferrari and Red Bull still had an edge, but predicted the gap could be completely shrinked over the remaining races. It comes after the Silver Arrows picked up their 2nd double podium finish at the Hungarian Grand Prix just a week after their 1st in France. So I think it's honestly fantastic to see them getting their strides, and George Russell secured a shock pole position on Saturday, while Hamilton had pace towards the end of the race to storm through the field. Hamilton explained, I really want to acknowledge my team who have continued to push and never give up through this tough year we've had so far. For us to have both cars on the podium twice is pretty special for us. It's really unlucky for George today, and I think a lot of people were expecting George to actually finish off in pole position because he was actually pole in the qualifying. The other guys still have a little bit of an edge, but we're clearly closing the gap, and this is just an amazing way to go into the summer break. Knowing that we have this performance, hopefully we'll bring some more into the second part of the season and start fighting with the guys in front. Hamilton suffered a DRS issue in qualifying, which hampered his chances to fight for the pole. The problem left the Mercedes driver down in the 7th, which restricted his chances to battle for the win. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff claims the setbacks Hamilton could have gone on to win the first Grand Prix of the season. He said, where Lewis came from is unbelievable. He was a little bit in the shadow, nobody really looked at him, and suddenly he was banging in times quicker than the leaders. I really did see Lewis Hamilton come out and become his prime self. He was doing a very good job, job, but it did hurt to see him start at that 7th position, but he still did an amazing job. In qualifying, if we hadn't failed the DRS yesterday, who knows, I think we would have had a fun fight at the front for the victory. Russell also praised the team after picking up his 5th podium of the campaign. The former Williams star highlighted the progress the team has made over the first half of the season and revealed that they would be in the hunt for wins towards the end of the year. He commented, "There's no doubt, but we're making progress. We're almost a minute behind the race to win at the start of the season, and it's been 10 seconds in the last couple of races. If we continued on the path, we will definitely be on the hunt." And I really do agree with this, guys. I think the way that they have been performing, it's slowly getting better as time goes on, and I think it is only going to get better from here, so that's fantastic to see from them. So Toto Wolff apologized for Mercedes' screw-up that cost Hamilton's victory bid. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff has apologized for the screw-up that denied Lewis Hamilton the chance to win the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hamilton qualified only 7th after a DRS issue mentioned he could not complete the final flying lap in Q3. But in the race, the 7-time F1 champion charged through to finish second by utilizing longer stints and fresh soft tires at the end of the race to pick off Carlos Sainz and teammate George Russell, who finished third. The second successive double podium result was a much needed boost for the Silver Arrows ahead of the summer break. Wolff, however, warned we need to be careful it is not specifically Budapest that we landed in the perfect window. The two Ferraris complained about the tire not being where it should have been. We are still lacking to the front runners. We have seen that Charles Leclerc on the right tire is still dominant force, but at least we are on the same pace. George, fantastic weekend for him with the pole position. The strategy played out with Lewis, and without us screwing up with the DRS, he would have fought Max for the victory. But wouldn't doesn't count in this sport. It wasn't a fact of am I just sorry we were not able to be in that position. So despite the gulf in performance between the two teams, Mercedes' consistency and Ferrari's falling means the manufacturers are remarkably separated by just 30 points in the constructors standings. Asked about Mercedes' chances of finishing runner-up to likely champions Red Bull, Wolff joked, "Second is the first loser." He added, "For me, whether it is second or third in the constructors championship, it is also not relevant compared to really racing. Being at the front and developing the car so we can win on merit, beat the Ferrari, beat the Red Bull, and prepare for next year, rather than really care about the championship position." So I absolutely love where Toto Wolff is coming with all this. I think it's fantastic to see that what he is doing is really great, and he's looking towards the future and not getting so caught up in what's happening right now. Now, George Russell fires shot at Red Bull and Ferrari, saying they've respected the regulations. George Russell has hinted that Mercedes might benefit from the new technical directive that will introduce at the Belgian Grand Prix. The FIA will tighten its rules on flexible hours from the Belgian Grand Prix onwards, an area of the car that Red Bull and Ferrari have potentially exploited, explaining their performance advantage in the opening half of the season. Mercedes struggled for pace initially as they suffered with porpoising, but in recent rounds, they've become more competitive with Lewis Hamilton scoring 5 consecutive podium finishes. Mercedes were able to compete at the front of the Hungarian as George Russell stormed his maiden pole position before securing third behind Verstappen and Hamilton. Looking ahead to Spa, Russell believes Mercedes could benefit from the new rules as they have respected it as the regulation as intended. There's no doubt we are making progress as a team. Russell told Sky Sports F1 on Sunday, "At the start of the season, we were finishing a multiple behind the lead. Now it's 10 seconds in the last couple of races. If we continue on that path, we will definitely be on the hunt." Spa is going to be interesting. There's some changes to some regulations which may bring other teams towards us. I think we as a team have a lot of confidence and faith in ourselves that we are doing a great job, and there's no reason why we can't be in that mix. There's no doubt Ferrari and Red Bull have pushed the regulations in that regard, and we've respected it as regulations was intended, but there are no guarantees that it will bring them closer to us. We know it was on our car, it would make us slower, every car is different, but it's not going to help them, that's for sure. Horner remained unfazed, so Horner remains confident that the new directive will have zero impact on Red Bull's competitiveness from Spa onwards. Ferrari still has a quick car and Mercedes are coming back at us. Maybe we don't need to TD in Spa. Technical directive has no effect on us. We need quick clarification on what rules are for 2023. I hope as early as this week. It's 10 past midnight for next year and Cinderella has already left. So I think it is honestly interesting to see how they have gone about, what is going on this season. I really do see Mercedes picking up the pace and pushing it as much as they can. So guys, as you all know, the Belgian Grand Prix is coming up very, very soon, and it is happening this month of August that just started. So there is a lot to it, guys. So the circuit is going to be huge. The length is actually 7 kilometers. The laps is going to be 44 laps. Race distance is 308.176 kilometers with 20 corners. So there is a lot of corners on this race, and I really do see Mercedes doing very, very well in this case. I think that's why they did so well in the Hungarian Grand Prix. There was a lot of twists and turns that they were able to actually take advantage of. I know Red Bull and Ferrari are very fast on straights, but when it comes to corners, having Hamilton and George Russell behind the wheel, they can definitely make things happen and can really do something special. So I think, you know, the Belgian Grand Prix is really going to play in their advantage, and it's really going to help them push more and more. So wins from pole position is actually 20 to 38%, and I think that's a pretty solid position for pole. Obviously you've seen higher, such as Monaco and all that, but 20 to 30% I think is still a really good number. So it'd be great to see Lewis Hamilton or maybe George Russell again get that pole position, and I do have complete confidence that they're going to be able to do that. So the lap record is actually a minute 46, and that was set by Bottas with Mercedes in 2018, and then the lap record average speed is 237 kph. So a lot of great stats when it comes to it. I honestly think this lap or this circuit right here will actually play very, very well with Mercedes and what they do best. I do still see maybe Red Bull, especially Verstappen, doing very well. I can definitely see him still getting podium, but I think Russell and Hamilton can pull it off again and actually get podium. And you know, for what they have been doing so far, I think the Mercedes car is only getting better as time goes on. So guys, let me know down in the comments what you think, how you think the Belgian Grand Prix is going to go down. Can Mercedes do it again and get both Russell and Hamilton on that podium position? So I'd love to hear your top 3 guys, who you think got in first place, second, and third. Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Peace.